Welcome to the Grizzled Geek. I'm Mike.
I'm Doug.
And we're here with a Mandalorian mid-season review.
Yeah.
Episode 4 just came out, and we've been busy with the holidays, so we haven't been able to do individual reviews of the episdes, even like reaction videos like we originally wanted.
Yeah, I know, that was a bummer.
So, but we did do a review during the podcast, and you did one.
Yeah, I did for episode 1. Yeah, so this is the first past episode 2 that we did. Did we talk about 2 in the podcast? I can't remember how far we got, but yeah, we have not reviewed most of it. So
okay,
so let's talk about it.
Got it. All right, so Mandalorian, the flagship series of Disney Plus, the launch of Disney Plus.
Yeah,
I mean, is this the most universally loved post-Disney Star Wars that's been out there? Because even Rogue One had its critics.
Yeah.
So, I mean, I've only heard a few critics of Mandalorian, but none of them that were, like, I know, like, Anita Sarkeesian said there's not enough female characters in it, but other than that, seems to be universally loved.
Well, yeah, I mean, that's kind of a... Yeah, there's not enough female characters in this one character show.
Oh, yeah.
I'm like, right, yeah.
Yeah, I'm not saying Anita Sarkeesian should be listened to or anything. Yeah. I'm just saying.
Yeah, I think so. I have not really heard any negative reviews. And like you said, I mean, even Rogue One gets negative reviews. It has slowly climbed because it started off relatively low. Yeah. The Rogue One. Yeah. It started off people going, I'm not sure about this, and then it's slow. You know, it's
realizing what a good movie is.
Oh yeah, okay, actually, yeah.
Yeah.
I would probably agree. It's probably the best thing they've done. I am in no way a Disney Star Wars hater.
Right.
I think they've only had one giant misstep in that everything else has been pretty good.
Yeah.
Well, everything else, visual medium. The books have been
awful,
hit or miss.
Let's be honest, they've been awful.
The Thrawn ones have all been good. I haven't read the last one, but I enjoyed the 2 Thrawn ones. I did not like Aftermath. It was not well written, but I liked Solo. I liked. I know everybody complains that the Force Awakens was just a New Hope remake.
Is what we needed.
To
kick off this.
Yeah, because the general viewing audience needed a reminder of Star Wars. You know, Star Wars fans didn't necessarily, and I still think there was enough new. And I know a lot of people were, like, oh, Rey's a Mary Sue, blah, 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 which I didn't have a problem with the mysteries that were set up to, well, yeah, but how? What's going on? Why is this the way it is? I was intrigued.
The only thing I didn't like was when they crapped on those mysteries.
Yes. Let's subvert expectations and, not tell the story we were going to tell. That's the only, whatever. It was the only thing that was subverted. There was the story.
We all know Last Jedi was not good on many levels. I mean, like I say, it wasn't bad. Like Bryan Johnson is a good storyteller. He makes good movies. He just fumbled the Star Wars storyline. I mean, the whole problem with the Star Wars storyline is that he got to do what he wanted with it, and did not have to
follow the story that they were telling for a trilogy.
Yeah. Or the fact that they didn't have a story set up for a trilogy.
Yeah.
They didn't have a through line. It was basically just,
Yeah. So.
But we're not complaining about Last Jedi, even though we seem to do that every time. It's hard to talk about Star Wars, post Disney Star Wars, without complaining about that, because it is the one movie that almost sunk a franchise. I mean, it was so bad it sank Solo.
Yeah.
And Solo wasn't a bad movie. No, it was a movie we didn't need, right?
Yeah.
But it wasn't a bad movie. I mean, had good parts in it. I liked, I didn't need to see a Han Solo origin story, but it was enjoyable. I liked it. I think everybody involved did a good job.
Yep.
I'm just sad that's not going to go forward with some of the storylines they set up.
Right, yeah, there was some interesting stuff there. So, anyways, that is all to say that I am not somebody who's going to crap on Disney Star Wars. So I was not going into this to nitpick stuff that, the few people who have had some negative things to say tend to be people who are on the more negative side of Disney running Star Wars.
Yeah.
And we're inclined to look for bad things.
Right, exactly. So I'm not. So Baby Yoda brought the fandom back together, I guess.
Yeah, I mean,
so cute. He united all the haters.
There you go. Yeah, I guess that's it.
I mean, and let's be honest with you. When it's several things, several factors involved in why this is so popular. One, it's not the Skywalker saga, which is coming to an end finally. Which, after 3 trilogies, I understand the burnout on that.
Yeah,
especially with the hit or miss movies. It's not. I mean, there's a Force user in it, but there's no Jedi.
Right. Yeah.
Right. It's his post Return of the Jedi, so it's a world where the old fans are more familiar with.
Yeah.
So things in it will be familiar. The fact that it has it's gone back to practical effects and that kind of filmmaking sensibility where they're actually using CGI only to augment practical stuff like that. Mm-hmm. Right? There's the aliens aren't computer generated. There's people dressed up.
Right. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Baby Yoda's actual puppet, not CGI enhanced puppet, but which is way better than total CGI.
Yeah,
because there's actually something physically that you can actually tell that is there. So I mean, I like that, and the whole Western vibe. This is part of the Star Wars universe we don't get to see. In fact, we kind of saw Rogue One give us kind of a glimpse of the what do you call it, street level kind of background of what's going on in this universe.
Bits and pieces.
Pieces, and this is basically a show highlighting that the underworld, the whole
right. Yeah,
this isn't huge galactic politics going on here. This is the story on a much lower level, and I think all that
and everybody loves Mandalorians.
And everybody loves Mandalorians. Ever since Boba Fett showed his face, like that guy is cool looking. Him looking cool.
Launched this whole thing.
Yeah, launched the whole thing because he, his 5 lines didn't really.
Yeah, well, and there's the whole interaction with between him and Vader that just implies that he's awesome.
Yeah.
So that was enough for people to go, wow, okay, I want to know about this guy.
Yeah, you didn't need to see Boba Fett in action to know that he was a badass.
Yep.
And then when you did see him in action, you're kind of like, well, he's going up against a Jedi, so.
Yeah.
All
right.
And then we got a little more of that with, Jango Fett. We actually, a little more of that where he actually took on Obi-Wan.
Right, yeah.
And actually was,
able to escape.
Yeah. So. But yeah, I mean, I think that lends to the popularity here. What do you think of?
Yeah, I think I think those are all the episode 4 aesthetic.
Yeah.
The Star Wars original, New Hope aesthetic with Mos Eisley's kind of vibe for all of the places he goes.
Yep.
It feels like a lived-in world. It feels like you're getting lore and you're seeing stuff. It has everything that the new trilogy has not had, which is, aliens. It's lived in. Yeah. It's not just we go from world to world to world where the only things you see is us. I mean, Jakku did that in the first one where you're like, oh, wow, okay, this is a crappy life she's living. This place is, run down and stuff like that. But I was quickly left behind and just kind of divorced from everything.
Yeah.
So it's like, oh, we go to a castle. We go to a ship. We go to a planetary base, a planet that is a base or whatever.
Right.
Then, there's no sense of the world that you're in where this totally delves into is like back alleys, dirty streets, and, aliens walking around everywhere.
The street market,
Yeah. People, frying lizards on, the random, the street corner and stuff.
Yeah, it's exactly. It's got that feel. You can actually like, oh, that's a place, So I like that, and I like the fact that, while it does play up the nostalgia by showing us like all these characters that we've seen before, these alien background characters, it doesn't like hit you over the head with the nostalgia. Like like he wasn't on Hoth when he went to that ice planet, right?
Right.
He didn't go to Tatooine to find Yoda, right? There was
Right.
no like, oh, this is going to this planet, this planet.
Yeah.
It never even mentions what planet he's going to, really. When he goes to these planets, right?
Yep.
So it could be anywhere in the galaxy. I like that feel to it. This is, they didn't try and look,
Again,
here's someplace familiar.
Western vibe. Unless you're doing something historical like Tombstone,
Yeah.
they rarely tell you what city they're in.
Yeah.
It's just some gold rush, silver rush town that may or may not still exist. You don't know. It's just.
And that's what you've seen so far. So he's never been on like a giant planet. It always or a big city world, right? It's just been like small little bases or
Little outposts, little
bullets,
trading spot. Yep.
Trading posts. So yeah, I like that feel. Although I would kind of like to see him go to like Nar Shaddaa or someplace like that.
Yeah.
That would be cool.
Yeah, it would
Delve
be
into the
interesting.
lore.
Yeah.
But so let's do a quick recap, and then we'll go over what we thought. So obviously, episode 1, introduction to him, the Western theme, meet up with IG-11. IG-11's quickly dispatched, and with that awesome shootout. That shootout at the it was the second best shootout after the episode 3, but.
Yeah, we'll talk about
that.
Yeah.
So and then the big reveal, Baby Yoda, of course,
right,
which is like the glue that holds this whole thing together.
Mm-hmm.
Episode 2, I know it wasn't your favorite, but I really liked it because it had that whole kind of like video game vibe to it, where he had to basically he had to get off the planet and he had to do a couple side quests to get off the planet.
Yeah.
And like the whole him climbing the Jawa sandcrawler was right out of the Super Nintendo 64 or Super Nintendo Star Wars game, where Luke Skywalker had to climb the Jawas throwing stuff at him. So it was like right out of that. And I thought the Mudhorn fight was awesome. I mean, he wrecked his armor, and he got and the big reveal that Baby Yoda is not only Force sensitive but very powerful in the Force.
Yeah.
Right. Episode 3, which I think is so far the best episode, in my opinion, anyway, is Sin, where he actually comes back to try and he turns in Yoda, gets his Beskar steel. He gets a whole new suit of armor. You actually get to see the Mandalorian clan react with them a little bit. Jon Favreau got I don't want to say he's playing a Vizsla, but not the Vizsla from the Clone Wars, obviously.
Oh, okay.
But yeah, I mean, in the credits, that guy was.
Oh, was he?
Yeah,
named
and it's Jon Favreau was doing the voice again.
Yeah,
so
right.
It's a Vizsla.
Interesting.
The big guy, which goes way back. So that's a name that goes way back in Star Wars.
Yep.
And even back in Old Republic days.
Yep.
So with the Mandalorians. And then he has a change of heart. He can't leave the baby behind until he comes back, rescues the baby. Big shootout, awesome shoot. Well, it was like a whole second half of that episode was just, action. Him rescuing the baby, with the shootout with the stormtroopers.
Yep.
And then the shootout with the entire clan of bounty hunters.
Yeah.
Which are like, how is he going to get out of this?
Yeah, that was awesome, and then also nitpicking kind of also fell apart at the end, where I'm like, okay, wait a second. Well, we'll talk about that when we break down each episode. But there was a problem with the episode 3's with the final.
I guess I love the reveal of the Mandalorians coming out to save him.
I didn't mind that.
I like that. I mean, it's the first time you actually got to see a Mandalorian clan like live action. I mean, you've seen it in Clone Wars, right?
Correct. Yes.
But you've not seen Mandalorian with their jetpacks flying around, do what Mandalorians do. This was a race of people that actually warred with the Jedi back when the Jedi were at the height of their power. You're like, how could non-Force users do that? Well, you kind of get an idea of that, seeing just a handful of guys dispatch the the bounty hunter clan.
Yeah.
Then obviously, he escapes planet, brings us down to episode 4. Episode 4, this last episode, he's on the run, trying to find a place for him and Baby Yoda to be safe. Whatever. We'll call him Baby Yoda. Everyone's calling him Baby Yoda.
Yeah, everybody is.
Because we don't know what it is. Where he's on this little backwater planet. You get a whole kind of a Seven Samurai vibe, only with 2 characters when he meets up with Cara Dune. Gina Carano, which I've been waiting this whole time for because she's my favorite. And then, they save the village from the raiders and they face down an ATST, which we were talking earlier. I was saying how I love the scale, how this all got scaled down, because in Star Wars, it's all like massive. It's like big galactic stakes,
Yeah, because if there were a Jedi in this would not have mattered.
Yeah.
He'd be like, okay, I deflect a couple of the shots from that, and I go cut one of its legs off, and then boom, it's dispatched.
It's dispatched.
But these guys are like, well,
I got a rifle and a pistol,
and I've got some explosives, but I have to go and actually physically attach them to it. I'm not going to do that while it's shooting at me.
Right, exactly. So it's, because Ewoks dispatch ATSTs. You're like, you don't realize how dangerous they are until you realize, wow, I got weapons that can't hurt that armor.
Yeah.
So, it was great to see that. And then, this last episode wasn't as good as like the one before it. I liked it. I like the whole kind of like, and the whole playing into that Western feel, the Seven Samurai, Magnificent Seven kind of vibe.
Correct. Yeah.
I like that. Even though, like I said, it's almost a straight rehash of that story. It's the same story.
Yep. No, but this podunk village hired us to protect them.
Yep.
There just wasn't the expendable characters.
Right, yeah. It just
down to the point where some female representative of the village falls for the lead person on it.
Straight up that story.
Straight up the copy of that story.
Right. But I like to see it. I like seeing it in Star Wars. Like basically, you get right down to it. Like New Hope was a rehash of the Fortress, right?
Yeah. Hidden Fortress.
Hidden Fortress.
Yeah.
So,
with some stuff like some old World War II movies and stuff.
Right. Exactly. Like all the stuff. Yeah. All the dog fights.
The trench run was straight out of a movie where they were trying to blow up a dam or something like that. Like the dialogue, everything was. I was like, wow.
Well, even the scenes where George Lucas cut together dogfight footage, from the gunners, from the perspective of the gunners in the ship, and the flybys, and they did that like scene for scene. Like it wasn't like a scene for scene. George Lucas cut that footage together from different footage because they didn't have pre-visualized stuff. Like you can't do previs, and storyboards wouldn't cut the actual feel, the action, how frantic you wanted it. So he pieced together those World War II footages, and if you superimpose them side by side with the Star Wars footage, and you're like, that's why it felt dynamic. That's why it felt real.
Yeah.
But I don't mind that. So, but overall, I would say, in my opinion, I think this is my favorite thing on TV right now. I can't wait. I can't wait for next Friday.
I know a lot of people are upset that this isn't. You can't just binge it.
Yeah.
I am actually enjoying having something to do every Friday.
Yes.
Every Friday, I know I'm going to watch this.
Because I binged it. If it was all out at once, like a Netflix, I would have had to watch the first weekend, and then
Then what?
Then I'm like, I got another year.
I got to wait. I got to wait a year for this, or however many months. And I got to wait 2 months for the next Marvel thing to come out. And
like I enjoy binging, but I mean, come on, we're just kind of spoiled. I'm used to back in the day when we had a show, we had to watch.
My life nowadays, I don't have the time to binge stuff anymore. So it's kind of nice to be able to just spread it out. So first off, overall impression. This is a 9.5 series.
Yes.
I love the series. So when I nitpick things as we talk episode by episode, that does not mean I'm not liking this. I'm not enjoying it. There are just a few things that I'm just kind of like, some things hit and hit really well, and some things, little bits, miss.
Right.
I'm like, okay.
All right. So let's start off. What's episode 1? Do you have any issues with it?
Not really. The only one I'm like, the dude getting eaten in his speeder was kind of like, he just warned you that something bad was going to happen and then fell for it himself. What? I mean, it was set the stakes and kind of get that thing.
You needed to see that thing eat something in order for it to be dangerous, but it could have been like other speeders in the background. Poor Brian Posehn.
Yeah, I was just like, so that one was kind of like, meh, all right, whatever, it's fine. But no.
It was totally telegraphed. You could see that one coming. Like,
it was.
Stay off the ice. I'm like, that guy's dead. All right.
But as far as the rest of that, I loved that episode. That was that may still be my favorite episode. It was so good, so well put together, set up everything, set up the environment, set up the characters so well that I really can't pick any holes in it. I can pick holes, just, and again, it's nitpicking. It's not bad. There's nothing super wrong with any of this stuff. I can pick holes in every other episode. Not that one. It's just, it was great.
Even the Ugnaught?
Okay, yes. I didn't think he was an Ugnaught because he doesn't look like an Ugnaught. And he doesn't talk like an Ugnaught.
He doesn't have tusks.
Yeah.
I, for one, am happy he doesn't talk like an Ugnaught. Because
I hate Ugnaughts. And
that squeally
he's taller than an Ugnaught. He's thinner than an Ugnaught. He doesn't squeal like an Ugnaught. He doesn't have tusks like an Ugnaught. He's not an Ugnaught. I don't even know what...
He's got an Ugnaught face, except for the tusks. He filed his tusks down,
and
got into shape, learned the language.
Yeah, he went on a diet, got a like what do you call it? What is that? Rosetta Stone, so he can learn basic. And
he just learns. I'm for one am proud of the Ugnaught bettering himself. He's assimilating.
And here's my only problem, and this is part of why I didn't like episode 2 as much as any of the other episodes, is I felt like his character was just a catchphrase. He was just there to say, "I have spoken."
See, I liked him.
That line was the only character he had. They didn't give him the chance to, like, okay, why are you in that valley? Why is it so important that you have peace?
Right.
I don't know anything about you, but they made him as an important character, but you don't learn anything about him.
What I like about him is that his reverence for the Mandalorian culture, the reason why he helped this stranger, and the fact that he actually,
although he helped every other stranger that came before him,
true, he did.
That didn't make a lot of sense.
But I think he went above and beyond, especially after he did it.
Afterwards, yeah.
Helping him get his ship fixed and everything else, and not requiring all this payment, not accepting payment. He's like, "You're my guest." I think that kindness went a long way towards the Mandalorians kind of becoming, I don't know, I don't say less selfish, but I mean being able to think of others a little more, right? I think is like, I don't want to say it softened him, but I think before he was all business. I'm like, here, I'm going to get this done. But then when he sees the kindness, I'm not saying he wouldn't have fallen for the Baby Yoda otherwise, because obviously in his past, and
that ties into
always pointing out that he wants to help foundlings, points out the fact that, being an orphan himself,
right?
He's got a soft spot for kids.
Yes.
We get that. He probably would have done the same thing anyway, but I think that the kindness of that character kind of helped him develop who he is, who he's going to be later on. So I like the character. I liked the episode because, like I said, it felt like a video game to me. I kind of...
we move on to the second one?
Yeah. Sorry. Yeah, we were saying...
I'm fine with it. Yeah, that's fine. Like I said, first one, I think it was a perfect episode. I
liked the first one a lot. I think it was... I don't see anything wrong with it, other than the fact that I wanted more time with IG-11, which that's a point I'll get into later on here. But,
it is it is very interesting on that. All right, episode 2, my least favorite of them. Again, it was an 8, I would say.
I would have to say it's my least favorite too. I liked it. I mean, we liked all these episodes, so I guess it's kind of like...
You're just ranking 4 episodes.
Yeah.
One's got to be at the bottom. This is the one that's at the bottom for me.
It's the filler episode. It's the side quest episode.
Yeah. And it felt too early for that, but I understand narratively when you only have 8 episodes that it had to come that early.
One key moment, I think the development with the Ugnaught, I think, was key, and I think a second key element is in order to, before you jump right into the third episode, you need to get jumped by one more. You need to see someone besides IG-11 also have the fob going after the child.
Yeah, that's true.
So that when the two Trandoshans attacked him, I think that was a key thing. That
was cool action.
Yeah.
I thought like I said, it's a good episode. It's just not a great episode, which was kind of a letdown from the first.
Yeah.
So that kind of colored it. And
it went a long way towards making, and they did a good job in this series overall of making him a badass, but not unstoppable.
Right.
Right. This guy can get beat up. This guy
He
can
has to work for just about everything.
Yeah, and I mean, he is a badass. You can fight him one-on-one, he's going to kick your butt. But he's not unstoppable. He's not a Jedi. He doesn't have force powers. He's not super, like you said, super lucky like Han Solo or something like that.
Nope.
You know, he's very skilled, but he has to fight for it. And I think Episode 2 went a long way in showing how fallible he is. Right? He lost against the Jawas. He put up that great fight. Right? And then he got tore up and basically had to be saved by the Mudhorn.
Yeah.
You know, which was the big reveal.
Right.
The whole point behind Episode 2 was the big reveal of the force powers from Yoda. But
I think that one of the things that bothered me the most about this episode was the contrived nature of the Jawas stripping his ship. I'm like, why are there Jawas on this planet? Because they're, lore-wise, they're only on Tatooine. But here they've kind of said, nope, they're everywhere.
They're everywhere. They're space rats.
They're space rats. They've gone everywhere. So
there's mining on all these. So they steal and mine.
He parks his ship in the middle of nowhere in just about every episode.
Yeah.
How has this not ever happened before? Or he have something that would stop it from happening?
Well, it seems like Jawas prefer like the desert arid type planets. So it didn't happen on the ice planet.
Yeah, it's kind of funny that's one of those, like, wouldn't you be afraid of this happening everywhere you go, that you're going to land that's someplace not civilized?
Yeah,
wouldn't you have something?
What are the likelihoods this Jawa sandcrawler going to run by? Like, it did. It did.
Stripped everything out.
I bet he's going to be a little more protective next time.
Which they didn't. He didn't show any kind of like, I've got upgraded. So
and they were in the woods, man. They didn't. They
didn't have
no sandcrawlers going through there.
So far, they haven't had a chance to show like he's upgraded his ship to like repel people who've tried to mess with it. But anyways, let's move on to episode 3.
Episode 3. The Sin. My favorite episode of the 4 episodes.
Yeah, I mean, I think it's my second favorite. The first one is just so well done that I can't rank any above it right now. But it was a good episode.
So what were your nitpicks? Another one. What's your...
All right. Do we want to start with the nitpicks?
Right. I mean,
going to the back, I didn't like the Mandalorian flying super high with him on a jetpack and him going, I got to get one of those, when every other Mandalorian but him apparently had one.
Pretty much, yeah.
Yeah, you're like, you haven't had the opportunity to get one when everybody else has one?
Yeah.
So that was kind of... But the way the Mandalorians came in and just wrecked house was awesome.
Yeah, absolutely.
But then that the fight was still going on and wasn't rendered the best as he flew away, where you have these little, like, CGI characters kind of flying around looking really awkward, and that there was still this massive firefight going on. I was like, how is this still happening? How have they not already just either killed them all, or he's gone, let's fall back?
See, I didn't mind that because
that was
the focus had already moved beyond the fight. So it was
that CGI was the most janky CGI they've had this entire season.
And I didn't even notice it.
It was so bad how they were just,
because the focus was on him at that point, flying away. So you're like, there's so fights going on in the background, so they're still flopping around. I didn't even notice the CGI.
If they had just stayed on the ground, it would have been fine at that distance. But the trying to CGI the characters flying around on the jetpacks looked awful. I was just like, oh god, that's bad.
I didn't even notice.
But and I didn't like that one flying up next to him. It was just like, how are you flying way? Like, he's leaving the atmosphere. He's above clouds. How are you flying that high with a jetpack?
I don't know.
No way to steer.
He's got a super jetpack.
Yeah, I guess. Because
I like that idea. I like the idea he doesn't have a jetpack yet.
Yeah, I don't mind that. In Rebels and Clone Wars, and even there at the beginning with Boba Fett in the original with Jango Fett, the jetpacks were never used to fly.
They're jump packs.
They're jumping. Yeah. So that kind of bugged me that one was flying with him.
Yeah.
But everything else, they jumped in, they fought, they maybe jumped up onto a roof or something like that. That was fine.
I'll give you. I think that the saluting scene was a cheesy scene.
Yeah.
That's all right. But I don't mind it because the episode was so good.
Yeah.
That fight, I don't even mind the janky CGI because I didn't notice it.
Yeah.
I'll probably be looking for it now when I watch it again. But that fight was just so badass. That showdown, because you're like, how is he going to get out of this? And I like the fact that he wasn't able to shoot his way out of that.
Right, yeah. He was still, you thought, oh, yeah, he's shooting his way out. Oh, nope, he's stuck.
He's stuck, yeah.
The other thing that kind of disappointed me about this episode is he got his full armor way too quick. I was really hoping it would take a while to build it up. He'd get bits and pieces at a time.
Right, but with him on the run, I have a feeling going forward, he's on the run.
Yeah, so, well, that's true. That makes it tough because they've got to relocate. He's not going to know where they are.
Yeah.
Which
and he used those whistling birds all right away. So I mean, he doesn't get that. He doesn't have that secret weapon anymore.
Yeah, that was one of those like, dude, you only had to kill 4 of them. Why'd you waste them all?
He wanted to be sure.
I guess. Yeah. So
maybe it's all or nothing.
That was the probably the best fight scene of the entire series so far.
That shootout in the first episode
him
was awesome.
Moving through and eliminating all of the stormtroopers. It was so awesome. He's just like, yeah. Well, and you see how badass his armor is. It's deflecting regular old blaster bolts. You know. He used his flamethrower to kill a stormtrooper. Yeah, he did. Him against the stormtroopers. Totally awesome. I love that. You
got to see him do everything you imagine Boba Fett doing and wanted to see him do, but never got to.
Yep.
So, yeah. He's living up to the coolness of how Boba Fett's look.
Right.
But all right, episode 3, my favorite, your second favorite. It was a really good episode. And from there, he's on the run. So it brings us to this week's episode.
Oh, we should point out a cool scene with Carl Weathers waiting on the ship.
Oh, yeah.
And then him using the thing and shooting him and hitting him in the Beskar.
Yeah.
That was cool.
That was great.
You know, he thinks
Carl Weathers is dead.
Carl Weathers is dead. What is the guy's name?
Grief Karga.
Grief Karga. Okay, yeah.
Yeah, like sad cargo.
Sad cargo. So he thinks he's dead, but it actually shot him in the Beskar, so he's alive.
Yeah.
You know, so that'll be interesting to see how that goes.
I kind of wanted him to be like, he's a scumbag. You got that from the very beginning, but you kind of wanted him to be on his side.
Yeah, I did. Well, yeah. All right, let's finish 4, and we can talk more about that because there's there's a lot there. So episode 4, he's on the run. He finds some backwater planet. And he's like, I'm gonna go hide here.
Yep.
So we first see the scene with the Raiders.
Yeah.
Which I thought it was going to be like the other Moff with his stormtroopers. I thought they were with his death troopers. I thought they were going to bring that in.
No, yeah.
So I didn't expect what happened there. It was like, oh, it's just pirate raiders or whatever.
I want to point this out. The Raiders. Do you see what they were? They were like the dog face guys.
Klatooinians or something like that.
It was like no, because the Klatooinians are. But they were. I think the one was like looked straight up like a dog, like a dog's face. In the old Star Wars comics, from like the 80s, when Star Wars first came out, or even the 70s, I think, when Star Wars first came out, they didn't have a whole lot of things that go on for like aliens and stuff like that. So they used like things with animal heads. Like there was a bunny rabbit was one of the main characters, right?
Yeah.
But they had dog-headed people and cat-headed people and stuff like that. So I don't know whether it was that or whether it was actually supposed to be like, I don't know. I just kind of thought that. I'm like, oh, look, that guy, when the guy's yelling, the leader guy, I'm like, that's a straight dog face. I'm like, well, maybe it's like from
Well, and there's what I don't remember at what point it's when he gets to the first town that he's at.
Yeah.
That they had a loth cat.
Yeah.
Friggin', like I thought those were only on Lothal, but apparently somebody took one with them when
Someone took one with them. That's the great thing about this. They'd be all over the galaxy. If space travel was this prevalent.
Yeah. And somehow you didn't die whenever you went to a new planet with a new race with new diseases.
Exactly.
Once we've gotten past that point where everybody's infected everybody else.
Right.
So
they're a much tougher galaxy.
But we get that whole Magnificent Seven Samurai, friggin' the poor villagers come and try and help hire the hero. He's like, nah, you can't afford me.
Yeah. And
then they're like, then figures out, oh, wait, I can hide out in their village. Okay, cool.
Yeah.
And then has this cool fight with Cara Dune. Is that her name?
Yeah.
Cara Dune. That was awesome. That fight was great. I loved it because they both just kicked each other's ass.
Yeah.
You couldn't tell who was going to win. They're both going to shoot each other. And then there's Baby Yoda kind of like
sipping his soup.
Sipping his soup. So he just tends to show up where, which I guess he is at this point just a total MacGuffin.
He's like a little Buddha figure.
But he's not. Yeah, he's got very little character. He's just a MacGuffin, but he just got this like, I just do these weird things kind of.
He's got, well, you get the feeling that he's, I don't know.
I don't know how intelligent he is.
Exactly. You're like, but you get there's like a hint of underlying
I think
wisdom.
at this point he's more empathic than intelligent.
Yeah.
He's just like, oh, I need to be here right now.
Right.
And he doesn't necessarily know why.
I loved the scene of him flipping switches on the ship. I was like,
stop that.
He goes, don't do that. He's like, flick. I'm like, okay, yeah. It's still a child.
Well, and I like the fact that when he flicked something bad started to happen. He just, don't do that.
Don't do that. Yeah. So he's 50 years old. He looks like a baby, but we don't know what development. I mean, he actually walks around like a toddler.
Yep.
So we have no idea.
He's amused by kids. So he's got this whole scene where he puts the frog in his mouth.
Yeah.
So you got a kid pick something random up and sticks it in his mouth.
So yeah, yeah. You don't know anything about that race or how developed he is.
Right. Yeah.
But I like him. I think he's awesome. Obviously, everybody likes him. There's no one because anything bad to say about Wee Baby Yoda. So, any nitpicks for episode 4?
No, not well. I'm trying to think. Not really. I had one big nitpick. I take back. The whole pseudo romance subplot just felt forced.
That was from
again. It's from Magnificent Seven. It's like we're riffing off of this, and this was a major element, so we've got to put it in. It made no sense in context.
I don't know, man. I think I got telling you earlier. Look at that village of people. Even without seeing his face, he was the best bet to walk in there in a long time, and she was by far the hottest widow in the village.
Yeah, I guess. Yeah,
need someone strong take care of her and her family.
Yep.
I could totally see that.
Well, and it's how in the world do you think this freaking bounty hunter is going to settle down in your fishing village?
He thought about it. He was like, and he was going to leave the kid there.
Yeah, he was going to leave the kid there until they realized that somebody with a fob was able to find him there.
Yeah.
Which you don't know. Again, they have not explained the nature of those tracking fobs. You don't know how in the world he found him there.
Right.
Because he hadn't been there long enough for anybody to necessarily leave the planet, go someplace else, and say, hey, yeah, I saw this Mandalorian there with a little weird kid.
Does he have a tracking? Is there a tracker on his ship?
Did Carl Weathers leave a tracker on his ship? Well, you don't know.
Something, somehow he went to a backwater planet in the middle of nowhere, and he got found. So, yeah. So what do you think of the Cara Dune character?
I liked her. It brings up the thing you were bringing up with IG-11.
Yeah.
The impression you got at the beginning of this.
Well, I'll say it this way. Look at the screen. The loading screen for Mandalorian has a picture of him, Cara Dune on one side with a big rifle, and IG-11 on the other side. Yeah. And you said the impression was that they're going to be a team.
This was going to be a team thing.
Yep.
And
build himself a team.
Halfway through, he's killed off one of those people who were supposed to be on his team, and the other one, he just said, hope we get to fight again, fight together again someday. Yeah. See you later.
She even offered to go with him, and he's like, or at least to their city. And when he's like, no, we're bypassing it. Sorry.
Oh, yeah.
He's like, his insistent on being a loner, you know.
I mean, and the funny thing is why he wouldn't take her up on it, but then he offered the Ugnaught, like, hey, you want to join my crew? You're good at fixing ships.
Yep.
He
could have an Ugnaught engineer. He could have a shock trooper.
Well, that was one of the things that didn't make any sense with the Ugnaught is like, I don't want to be a slave. He's like, he's offering you a job, not slavery. What?
Yeah.
But I mean, he would have been better off saying, no, I've been waiting for a peaceful life. I'm going to stay here where there's nobody to bother me. And that would have been fine.
He's done fixing stuff for the white man.
Yeah, I guess. Yep. That's it. But
yeah.
So it is funny that no team building has occurred at all.
despite all the marketing
seeming to suggest that's what we're only halfway done.
It could happen,
and maybe it's not going to happen at all this season. It's going to happen next. Maybe that's the key of next season.
I've liked all the side characters he's met up with. I would think they would make a perfect team.
But it wouldn't be bad if this is his, he goes off on his solo, and then whatever the season finale is a cliffhanger where he's in a position where he can't do whatever it is alone, and he has to go back and find all of the people he's worked with in the past and convince him to help him. I wouldn't mind something like that, but it is weird that you marketed it as he's going to meet all of these cool people, and the suggestion was that he's going to stay with them for some time, and it hasn't happened. So you're like,
what's going to happen here? So, have you read Lone Wolf and Cub?
Just bits and pieces. Yeah, like a story here and a story there. I mean, it went for hundreds of issues, didn't it? So
it did. Even had back in the day, you watched the old kind of cheesy like Japanese live action that they did.
Yeah. It is very Lone Wolf and Cub-ish too.
It's a whole samurai and westerns have been intertwined for the same kind of
and they've been a main contributor to Star Wars since the beginning.
Yeah, so it's perfect.
It makes sense, and it is cool, and it's cool how you kind of take all of these elements. It's a little bit of this, a little bit of this. I did feel like this fourth episode was too on the nose with the Magnificent Seven, except for there only being two. Right. That kind of bugged me a little bit.
They just cut all the extraneous, the expendable characters that die off.
Yeah, all the expendable characters are going to die off. We're just going to go, they're already dead.
They're the main ones.
We're just going to cut it. Even to the point where it's like, okay, they've got a Gatling gun. They've got an ATST.
Yeah.
It's like, all right. Yep. So it was funny how on the nose that was, but that's fine.
Yeah.
The Lone Wolf and Cub's a good call out. I'm trying to think what else. The video game reference.
Yeah.
So it is one of those things that they are obviously making these ties.
Yeah.
So for the most part, I don't mind that. It's just when it was a little too on the nose, I was kind of like, okay.
All right. Given how well this is done, this is all the vision of Jon Favreau, right?
And Dave Filoni.
I mean, Dave Filoni is like George Lucas light. He studied under the master himself.
Yep.
And so those two are the ones. But he's Jon Favreau is the main vision behind this, the overall architect for the whole thing. Given how well he's done on this and his sensibility, would you like to see him take over Star Wars going forward after post Skywalker saga? Because they need.
Yeah, here's the problem: is I don't know that he has the producer chops that he needs to run the studio. I definitely think Favreau and Filoni should be the head of the story group, and the story group should have way more power than it does.
Yes.
The story group should be able to.
They're the one. Yeah, they do the overarching story.
Kind of set.
Like Feige is for Marvel. Well, Feige's more of a producer, but he makes sure that the vision, all these different voices.
They need somebody like Feige who has the producer chops to be at this top.
Yeah.
To go, this is the overall vision for Star Wars, and then Favreau and Filoni we are executing that vision by saying, this is canon, this isn't, you can do this, you can't do that.
Right. Favreau. I mean, Disney loves Favreau because he basically he set up Marvel for him, right?
Yeah,
he set up the Marvel universe for him. He's done Jungle Book. He's done Lion King for him.
That's the thing is he is a great storyteller and he's a great director. I just don't know that he has the producer side of him that needs to be there to run a studio.
I'd like to see him head of a team that has Dave Filoni on it. Even like this group of people he has for Mandalorian, the directors he got for this.
Oh, yeah. I wish they had way more power overall.
Yeah.
I'm just saying I don't know that Favreau has the skills to take Kathleen Kennedy's position.
True.
I mean, he could certainly head the story group.
Right.
There's no question.
But I'd like him to be in charge of the story, have more power.
Correct. Yeah. I wish there was somebody. Right now, the story group doesn't ever nix anything to my knowledge.
And have her on his, because Kathleen Kennedy, for her dipping her toes into the story part of it is what really where things went wrong. I think she's a great
and
producer.
not insisting that there be a specific story.
Because you got to forget all the amazing movies that she has produced.
Right, and that obviously George had some faith in her.
Yeah.
I think if you are a Lucas purist, you might think that she stabbed him in the back by implying that they would listen to him and then shutting him out of the sequel trilogy and not listening to any of his ideas.
But we don't know how much of that was her, how much was Alan Horn.
Yeah, we have no idea.
But yeah.
The backs, and we also don't know to what degree. Apparently, Lucas was brought in by Favreau and Filoni to talk about this, but we don't know how much he did or did not have to do with it. I mean, it is definitely his ballywhack with.
I would say with him coming in, Favreau has a reverence for him. Filoni definitely has a reverence for him. With them being in control and him fighting him in, I'm sure, he has some fingerprints on the Mandalorian.
Well, and they were definitely paying homage to his sources, where he's like, oh yeah, he loved the samurai stuff, he loved the westerns and stuff like that.
He took the vibe, the feel of Star Wars, and produced these series.
And I enjoy. That's one of the things I enjoy more about the original trilogy versus even the prequel or the sequel is it is way more grounded in that samurai western tradition. It didn't try to be. It's not science fiction.
Science fantasy.
It's science fantasy.
Yep.
Whereas the sequel trilogy more than the prequel. The prequel trilogy was just kind of out there. He was still playing around with the let's tell a political story.
Yeah.
Which was fine. It wasn't well written or acted in the first two installments, but the overall story kind of made sense.
Well, again, Lucas is a great storyteller and a great world builder. Yeah. Right? But the reason why the first trilogy was so good is because he had so much help.
Yeah.
Right? He didn't do everything himself. He had a hand in everything himself, but he had... I mean, we brought Star Wars.
His wife saved Star Wars.
His wife edited Star Wars together, and Steven Spielberg and his other friends, helped him, put that together. And then he didn't direct the Empire Strikes Back or Return of the Jedi, right?
No.
He wrote the story. But he didn't script it. He had people come in for dialogue.
Yeah.
Right?
The prequel trilogy obviously, suffers from the yes men. Yes. That nobody would call him on anything.
Problem was he was George Lucas by that point. He was a nobody when he made Star Wars, right? I mean, he was up and coming. He was an up and comer when he made Star Wars.
He had 2 movies under his belt before Star Wars. So,
but by the time the prequels came along, he was already raised to this status that no one would argue with him on stuff. Yeah. It was just all yes men going, yeah, whatever, yeah, CGI everything, yes, let's do it.
Yeah.
So yeah.
Anyways, this. Yeah, when you come back to it, this is original Star Wars.
Yes.
The Mandalorian is original Star Wars, and that's why I think is so great.
The lady who directed Episode 3, The Sin, is the one who is the showrunner for the Kenobi.
Oh, really?
Series.
Okay, cool.
So
yeah.
So if you like the sensibilities of that third episode, you can look forward to that. That's what the Obi-Wan Kenobi, she's overseeing that series.
Yeah, there were, like I said, there were very nitpicky things about it that I was kind of like, okay. Yeah. But those were mostly visual things.
Yeah.
So.
Got no problem with that.
That's cool.
All right, folks. Mandalorian, halfway through. We'll do like an end of the season review.
Yeah. The problem, the holidays makes it so difficult for us to get together and film on a consistent weekly basis. So we can't do every week, do a review or
we'll get back into it. But they're already filming season 2.
That's cool.
So I mean, clearly they got a hit on their hands.
Yeah. And I hope I want to see this go for. I think this has legs to go for 5 years.
Yeah. So I'd like to see the last episode, his team together. Like, a rebuilt IG-11 or Cara Dune.
This season?
Yeah, like in this season, episode 8.
I don't think it's going to happen.
You don't think it's going to happen at all?
I think
I'd like to see Carl Weathers there, him turn, and I don't know. I could just dream.
Nope. I think season 2 is going to be about him having to build that team.
Got it.
That could happen the rest of this season, but I don't think so. because we still have to get Ming-Na Wen's character.
Yeah, we still got to get
who may be a bad guy, maybe a good guy. We don't know.
The Death Troopers and
we haven't even met the
Gus Fring's character. No, I was kidding. Gus Fring, that's a pretty bad character.
Moff. Moff something or other. Yeah. I don't remember his name.
But yeah, so far it's amazing. Halfway through, we got 4 episodes to go.
Yeah.
What do you guys think of the series? Let us know. Obviously, come on. Does anyone have a problem with Wee Baby Yoda? I don't think anybody. You're a monster if you do.
You're a horrible person.
Horrible person. Yeah. All right, guys. Thank you very much. Please like, subscribe, share with your friends. We're trying to get our subscriber count up. We really appreciate all the help. And if you want to support us and the things that we do on this channel, Doug, how can they do that?
First and foremost, during the holiday season here, click our Amazon affiliate link and do your Amazon shopping through here. That will help us out immensely.
Doesn't cost you anything extra?
Yeah, nothing extra on your part. You just click that link. Any shopping you do over the next 24 hours after you click that link, we get a small kickback. And like I said, it doesn't cost you anything extra, so that's an awesome way to support us. You're going to shop at Amazon anyway during the holidays, so hey. The other thing is, on Patreon right now, we are reacting exclusive for patrons to My Hero Academia. So if you're interested in that, you can check us out there. And then throughout December, you're going to get 1 episode every week instead of every other week, which is the norm. So enjoy that.
Yep. There you go. Oh, and you can also buy our t-shirts on Teespring.
True.
So, all right, guys. Thank you very much for watching. We'll see you next time.
Bye.